All right, guys. So we have a fun 4-game slate today. And the reason I say it's fun is because there are like 4 really good center plays we can be on. There's going to be some really kind of interesting value for the Indiana Pacers. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I do want to start with the Pacers because, yes, a lot of people are going to be on Buddy Hield if Tyrese Haliburton is ruled out. Even if he's not, some people are going to be on him. Haliburton is currently questionable. Okay, so that is going to be the big injury news situation on today's slate. But I do want to point out Jordan Nwora. He has been someone that has been on my radar ever since he's gotten traded to the Pacers. Okay, so he's only projected to get 17.1 minutes right now. But we are seeing some extreme chalk. Benedict Mathurin, very chalk. Andrew Nembhard, 17%. Buddy Hield, 28%. And even Aaron Naismith, who I'm perfectly fine with, 12%. TJ McConnell, 8. But this is very much going to be a slate in which you kind of have to get unique to potentially take down a GPP. And so looking at it, we can see, yes, Nwora has been shooting the ball a decent amount the last 2 games, 10 and 12 shot attempts. Okay, 1 for 5 from 3, and then 3 for, I laugh, I'm a Bucks fan. There's some painful nights seeing Nwora just continue to truck threes up when he's struggling. But the fact of the matter is, that is who he is. He's going to get out there and chuck up some shots. Okay, we've seen him have 22 and 39 DK points. This play becomes much stronger if Haliburton is ruled out. Currently questionable, expected to play right now. I guess I would say it's favoring that Haliburton's going to play. If you were, that the Nwora would be someone I think we'd be looking at. And so looking at the top play on the board today is going to be Miles Turner. Everyone is flocking to Miles Turner today, as they really should be. Going against the San Antonio Spurs, this is a very, very appealing matchup. Not only is he someone that can get some blocks and steals, that's going to help him out a lot, but we can see the last few games, 44, 40, and 60 DK points. And, you know, Boston's a tough matchup. That was his best game. So, yeah, he is someone that he's going to be getting a lot of ownership, as he should. He's extremely cheap on DraftKings, but at that same time, I would almost say 41% is a little bit too cheap. All these games are expected to stay close, so we don't have to worry about a blowout risk, but this is a game in which is expected to stay close. And what's the key thing about that? It's a matchup with the Spurs. That never happens. And so it's going to be a high-scoring game. And so maybe we do have to worry about a blowout, I guess, but at the same time, it'd be because someone like Miles Turner is going off. Now, obviously, in that game, we have to figure out the injury situations, right? Haliburton could be sitting. Vassell's questionable. Tre Jones questionable. Branham questionable. So, like, let's just say Tre Jones and Branham sits. Then we're just pretty much locking in Devontae Graham. It'd be very difficult not to fit him into our builds because, you know, he'd probably get around 29 to, let's say, 33 minutes. And then at this price tag, you know, he could easily go for 30 DK points. At the same time, Blake Wesley would also be a very intriguing value price point play because his minutes would get a bump as well. The tough part about the Spurs is that, and even the Pacers, is the new roster churn. Okay, like the lineup is, if we were to look at like per 36 numbers with players off the court, it wouldn't be a good sample size. It wouldn't be worthwhile. So there is a little bit of a guessing game. But at that same time, that's where we can gain an edge by using some like logic. And I would say Blake Wesley getting 25 minutes or so if Tre Jones and if Branham are out is going to be huge. And so like price point wise, he would be one of my favorite players. The issue is we don't have that news yet. I'm trying to set you guys up for success if that news comes out. Like you can easily go ahead and make those lineup decisions if that news comes in. And then for what it's worth, like Charles Bassey, very cheap price tag still for a guy that can easily go for 26, 30, 28 DK points in limited minutes, okay? 21 minutes was his most minutes recently, and that's a little bit shocking. You know, you kind of figured he would get more run, but at the same time, on a small 4-game slate at 3.8, if we can get a player that can have the upside to put up 30 DK points, we'll take that. Okay, that would be huge. But I do think that Zach Collins is kind of the default play in this game. He's been someone that's been extremely efficient. So 27, 26, 27 minutes, but he's been able to get 29, 30, 36. And so what we have to look at with the Spurs is going to be the projected minutes because this is the first time in a while in which the games are expected to stay close. So if it does stay close, Zach Collins currently projected to get 27 minutes. So we don't have to worry about the minutes being lower, I don't think. But what are the chances that if this game stays close, he gets more minutes, right? If he gets 32 minutes, that's going to be huge. He could easily break the slate. It wouldn't be surprising to see him put up 40 DK points if he does get 33 minutes. Now, a lot of people are going to go to Keldon Johnson because, you know, he's the safest Spurs player, and I would say that's right. But at the same time, he's questionable. So there is a lot of situations in which we have to figure out kind of just the injury. And for what it's worth, I think it would be Doug McDermott. Almost said Doug Martin. That had been a blast from the past there. But yeah, he'd probably get around 25 plus minutes, cheap price tag, some that can get a lot of shot attempts off. Not terrible. So we also do need to get confirmation on Vassell as well. Most likely going to be on a minutes restriction. If he weren't, like, yeah, we would probably love him, but most likely going to be on a minutes restriction. So moving on into the Raptors. Malcolm Poeltl is still very cheap for his production. Now, we know the minutes are most likely capped at around 30, but we also are getting 30 minutes as a floor, it seems like right now. And so he has the upside to go for, 40 if he does get a slight increase in minutes. So that's another one of those plays, especially against Washington, where it's a very appealing play. He was able to put up 30 and 34 against Chicago and Cleveland. Not exactly teams that you're like going out of your way to target a big against. Washington is a team that we are trying to go out of our way to target a big against. So I think he's going to be a strong price point play as well. And so the issue that we are having on the slate is that Collins is in a great spot. Zubac is in a good spot. Okay. Then you also have Kevon Looney, who's still just way too cheap for his recent production. Last game against Portland, it was a blowout, so he only had 23 minutes. In games that have been closer, he has gotten 32 or so minutes. So this game is expected to stay close. So my biggest issue with Jakob Poeltl and even Miles Turner a little bit is that we could maybe get close to the same production with someone like Kevon Looney. And so now let's just show you guys which players the OF index is favoring the most. So looking at obviously Luka, James Harden, Haliburton. Okay, if he's active, that's going to be a good play. But really, the first one that stands out is Miles Turner, and that's why he's chalk. And then from there, we see Klay Thompson's at a very cheap price tag. I think Klay makes for a lot of sense in GPPs. He's someone that, most likely going to get out there and chuck some shots up. If he can, make those shots, he's going to go off. That's really it. And in GPPs, you don't mind that. And we can see like right here, guys, it's a very soft price point. We got Russell Westbrook right there. Could be a strong play. We got Scotty Barnes, Kyle Kuzma. So those are all kind of cheap price point plays that are really looking to be a very standout play. I do want to point out OG as well. OG is looking like a very strong price point play as well. I like the fact that we can play him at guard or small forward as well. That's going to be a decent play and at a low ownership as well. There are a decent amount of low ownership plays that we can be on. So I think Russell Westbrook just makes a ton of sense now. We have seen him be extremely efficient. We've seen the usage be up 40, 38, 44. Like, I think we get it with Russell Westbrook. Now, sure, this happened because of a OT game, but really since then, I feel like that's kind of set the tone for the team and Russell Westbrook. So at 7K, especially against Golden State, it always seems like he's a little bit more motivated to play well against them. I think that's a very strong price point play. From there, we saw Paul George popping up as a very strong price point play as well. You could usually play him at guard or small forward. And this is a slate in which I don't know if we need to force in a stud because, well, a lot of the good plays are kind of a little bit too cheap. I will say, like, Draymond Green's price tag is kind of strange because he's been actually very consistent with all those players off, with Curry, with Wiggins off the court. It's basically, for the most part, locking in 30 DK points with the upside to give you 40. And so in a game that's supposed to stay close, I'm fine kind of going with Draymond at that price tag. And then from there, we could easily just go ahead and fill in with some of the value that's out there. So DK value-wise, Justin Holiday is actually popping up a little bit. It's just a minutes thing. Aaron Naismith popping up there as well. DeLon Wright is going to be kind of a chalky play. Decent price point play. Like, I really don't mind him. I can definitely end up on him. And then if we flip it around, look at FanDuel value, just to give you guys that look as well. Buddy Hield is really popping up. I don't know if Buddy Hield is like chalk we have to eat. It is chalk that makes sense. At the same time, there is a path in which he doesn't dominate. And so not a lock and load, but I get it. So like here, let's just go ahead and put in DeLon Wright. And we have a decent amount of salary left over to really fill in with whoever we want. Mathurin soaking up some ownership as well. I don't know if that's the right move with Haliburton kind of expected to play right now. So this might be a situation in which maybe this is definitely a GPP only build. This is maybe where we could go with Wara. Don't love it, guys. Like, this is an ownership play, and this is hoping that the efficiency shooting the basketball is there again. It's kind of fading the chalk that's there right now with the Pacers and thus being able to pay up for another stud. And so who would another stud be? Well, it could be Keldon Johnson. It could be Scotty Barnes. Both are projected to play pretty well. I'll probably go with Keldon Johnson for now, and we can adjust this throughout the day. There is a lot of projected value out there. We have to wait on the news for the Spurs because most likely we're going to have at least 2 Spurs players in our builds, at least, depending on the injury. Okay, so that's something we need to monitor. And in a weird way, Chuck and I kind of mentioned this on the live stream, and Chuck will be going live tomorrow, Friday, as well, on YouTube at the same time we typically do. So I'll be on the lookout for that. But we always mention, like, sometimes a build, you want to be, look good enough, but also it needs to be ugly enough for you to like really take down GPP or have a good GPP build, because there's also the little bit of the risky plays that need to pan out. And so that's kind of this build to me, is that we have some chalk in there, but we also have some risky upside plays. It's not sexy, but it's not too ugly. It's a good mixture of both. It's like taking a 6 home at bar close. It's the best way to describe it, I would say. That's this build. Terrible analogy probably there. But that's all for today's video. Like I said, it's a fun 4-game slate. There's lots of ways in which you can go ahead and attack it. Obviously, we are still waiting on some injury news. And once that injury news comes, make sure to be in the Discord chat Okay, we'll be answering those questions. Discord chat is going to be live before lock. And looking at it right now, we have Chuck in the Discord chat for tonight. And then tomorrow, morning video, Nick will give you guys the top plays for that. And then Chuck will be doing the live stream tomorrow as well on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. If you guys want access to any of the tools, the OF model that you saw in this or the OF lineup builder, click the link in the description below as well. All right, thanks for watching and good luck today.